So this is my newly acquired 1971 GMC C1500 pickup truck. It is a nice little half-ton farm truck, essentially. It spent its entire life in Missouri, near as I can tell. I bought it from a gentleman that was located in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and he seemed to have taken fairly good care of it. I don't know exactly how long he had it, but by all indications, I believe it was his brother-in-law's truck and had it for quite a few years. Now, I wasn't sure what type of truck I was in the market for. I knew I wanted a Chevrolet or a GMC. I really wanted a 67 to 72, somewhere in that generation, but I was looking at some older ones as well. And this one just happened to pop up and happened to be a pretty good deal for what I paid. Plus, the gentleman threw in a lot of other parts that he just didn't feel like he needed anymore. The bed's in pretty good shape. The body's in decent shape. The engine, I don't know what kind of shape it's in yet. We're still kind of determining what it needs or how it's going to run. It does have a quadrijet on it. We'll show a little bit more of that here in just a minute. But right now, let's kind of take a look at the body. For the most part, I think this has been fairly taken care of. It's the interior's in okay shape. It's an air-conditioned truck, so it does have the AC vents, and most of the AC is there. At some point in time, the AC must have stopped working, and for whatever reason, they removed the compressor from underneath the hood. But I do believe I have all the pieces to put it back together, repair it, and put it back together. But for the most part, I guess it's a typical 50-year-old truck. It's got plenty of little dings and dents and scratches, and certainly it's not perfect, but near as I can tell, it doesn't look like this truck's ever been wrecked. Everything seems to be in there as far as what that the truck is as it was complete, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Like I said, it came with a lot of extra parts that the gentleman just wasn't interested in keeping. I got another turbo 350 transmission, a pair of heads, a couple carburetors, a couple intake manifolds, just stuff he had laying around. I don't know what I'll do with it, but certainly I could use it for something or trade it or whatever. But for the most part, again, I don't know that I could have gotten a better deal, and it was kind of one of the reasons why I didn't walk away from this one. The combination of the truck, the price I paid for it, and the additional parts that came with it, plus that it's running and driving, it made for a pretty good deal as far as I could tell. Now, it does have the typical rust. Cab corners are shot. The rockers are certainly not in any better shape. The floors on the inside of the truck, surprisingly, are in pretty decent shape. It does have some areas. It does have, where the rust has started to kind of thin some things out. But for the most part, it's a good, solid starting point to build another nice truck out of it. Underneath, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert on these trucks by any stretch of the imagination, but typically what I'll look at on anything is body mounts, cab mounts in this example. If there's any major rust, any dents, any damage that looks like the frame is sustained from a front, side, rear impact, whatever the case may be there. And everything underneath here looks fairly good. The bed, like I said, I'm most surprised about is in fairly good shape. It does have a little bit of a few spots in it, but for the most part, it's not in bad shape. Rear springs are shot, and it looks like somebody took a torch to them. They're shortened on both sides for sure, and it doesn't ride very well. But we'll throw some new coils in there, maybe some lowering coils, and see what we can get out of it. But plan is really on that side. I don't think I'm going to lower it too much, just maybe a couple inches to get the ride heights down. Again, like I say, all the body mounts look good. Nothing's rusted out. The frame mounts all look pretty good there. I'm kind of surprised about that. Doesn't need an exhaust. It's got some old glass pack type mufflers on there. Probably a little too loud for what I want the truck to be. I'm just going to look for a running, driving type of vehicle, and don't really need big loud glass packs to get me down the road. But yeah, the frame looks good. There's not really anything in here that's kind of troublesome. It's just a 50-year-old truck that's hasn't lived the best life, but it hasn't led a horrible life either. Someone didn't really treat this thing too awful bad. It's got the typical rust that you'd expect on a southern Missouri truck, but for the most part, I don't think I'm too upset about what I got here for the money I paid. Taking a little bit closer look at the interior, obviously the steering wheel shot. Again, it's definitely been baked in the sun. Again, AC truck, kind of cool there. I wasn't really expecting that. I was kind of looking for just a regular old standard truck with a heater core in it and call it good. But this one's got AC, and I think I'm going to try to get that running and get it back in, so I can take a good advantage of that. The instrument panel's in good shape. All the gauges are there, and it doesn't look like the lenses are cracked in it. Somebody did add an aftermarket tack to it, which I may or may not keep. I just don't know yet. And the floorboards look good. There is a little bit of rust here and there, but most of it's surface rust. Driver's side's probably the worst. There is a decent little hole underneath the where the floor meets the rocker, but again, that's a typical spot on these trucks. I think that typically has issues, but other than that, the floor is fairly solid, and I'm not too upset if I just have to replace sections of floor pan here. I'm not going to be too upset about it. I will pop the seat out of it at some point because the fuel system needs to be changed. I am going to put a different fuel tank in it. Not sure where that's going to go yet. If I will do in cab or do the rear mount, we'll just have to see what's in stock. And I don't really have too much of an opinion there. If it goes in the cab, I've dealt with these trucks before. As long as everything's in good shape, that doesn't smell, you don't get that fuel smell in the cab. But again, for the most part, for a 50-year-old truck, its interior's in pretty decent shape. I'll probably recover the seats. I'm not exactly quite sure what I'll do there. I don't think I'll put a bucket seat in here. I'll stick with this bench, or get a bench with a fold down in it. Just all depends, I guess, on what I can come across. But all the ducting is there for the AC unit. Got some mice damage in there. The previous owner said that he had pulled a lot of that stuff out of there to kind of get rid of the mice. So all the hoses and all that will get replaced. But other than that, it looks like the truck's in pretty decent shape. I don't know if I'll Dynamat or lizard skin anything on the interior here. Again, haven't really decided what to do there, but we'll kind of see where that goes, as I go down the road and see what I want to do with it. But I guess the cool thing is most of the instruments work. As far as I can tell, the speedo does work, but I'll have to get out on the road with it really and spend some time with it, see if it actually works. Windshield wipers work, but I guess work is a pretty relative term. It probably needs a new motor, or maybe the wiring's a little shot. I'll have to investigate that a little bit, but everything else is there. I don't know if the idiot lights or anything else works in there. The previous owner, again, said the fuel tank sender didn't work, so we'll take care of that when we replace the fuel system, so that shouldn't be that big of a deal. But overall, again, I'm pretty happy with it. Underneath the hood's a little bit different story here. It does have some issues that we're going to have to work on. It wasn't getting fuel, and when I did my little test drive of it, I guess, I just had to pour some fuel down into the bowls of the Q-Jet to get it to run. So it was one of the first things I did. I add a little fuel to the tank. I don't know if it's gummed up or if just the filter that was on here was plugged, but I went ahead and replaced the fuel pump already because I had one. And that Q-Jet's coming off too. Obviously, I'll put an Edelbrock on this thing. It's not going to be a high horsepower, drag racer. It's going to be a street cruiser, and the Edelbrock carburetor is going to work just fine for what this is. I don't know that I'm going to change the intake manifold. I may do that down the road. Depends on what things look like when I pop the valve covers off. Take a look at the valve train, see what kind of shape it's in. The owner did mention a few little things there about, he wasn't sure how it was, what kind of shape if it was the lifters were having any issues or whatever. He said it was kind of noisy at times, so I guess we're going to have to figure all that as we go. Master cylinder definitely needs to be replaced. It looks like there's a receipt in the cab for just a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago. So I don't know what the issue is there, but the cap's kind of loose on it. So I'll probably replace it anyway. Brakes is a big part of picking up a new project truck or car for me. Brakes is the first thing that I do. It's not fun at all if you can't stop it. But we do have a little bit of work to do under hood here. I got some wiring to clean up. Certainly have some ignition and fuel system work to do. That'll be one of the first things, obviously. I'll concentrate on fuel first, and then we'll do ignition, and then kind of see how it runs and drives from there. But brakes is obviously the number one thing on that list. So it's what's going to be first, I guess. And then once we get it all running and stopping and mechanically good, then we'll tackle the AC stuff and see if I can't get that, squared away. Hopefully by, July, August, when it's scorching hot here in the Mid-South, that would definitely be a bonus to have air conditioning in this truck. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go too crazy with this thing. It's not going to be a hot rod. I'm not trying to make a muscle truck out of it. It's just going to be a fun, running, driving deal. And those basic things we're going to take care of first. Brakes, fuel, and ignition, and everything else after that's just kind of going to be a as needed type repair, or make it a little nicer repair. So hopefully the speedo works. If not, we'll get it fixed and see what we can do with it. But I'm pretty excited about this one. Again, I haven't had this style of truck in quite a long time, and so I'm a little green on the ins and outs of these vehicles, but drivetrain wise, I'm pretty good there. So I think we'll have a good time with it, and we'll learn a little bit going along the way. So anyway, if you got any comments about the truck, or what you think I should do with it, or do you want me to see me lower it and do a 6-inch drop on the rear and a 4-inch on the front, let me know. Eager to hear. So anyway, we'll get working on this thing, and we'll show you some videos along the way, and certainly some good tuning videos coming out of this thing, and we'll get you some good content coming here soon. So anyway, time to play with the 71 GMC. We'll catch you guys later.